As we move into more academic writing, it is a little bit trickier to write introductory paragraphs. I have a lot of students who get really stuck on the intro, even if it's the last paragraph they write. So often the advice is to write your body paragraphs, your conclusion, and come back and write your introduction. So that is good advice. If you are still not feeling like that works for you, another trick that I found when working with students is answering this question. Why does my teacher want me to write this paper? And you might not agree with this reason, but there is a reason why your teacher is asking you to write this paper and why this topic fits into something that you're studying or something that's important or something that he or she wants you to think about in a different way. So if we think, why does my teacher want me to write this paper? We can really start to build a good introduction. We talk a lot about, especially in elementary school and early junior high, about you need a hook. You need to pull your reader in. And that works a lot better when you're writing fiction or creatively. It's a little bit trickier when you're writing academically because I've seen students just completely throw something out there and it's nothing to do with their paper. They're like, it's interesting, I hooked my person in. I'm like, but it has nothing to do with your paper, so it's not really communicating to your reader about your level of academic knowledge. So when we ask the question, what does my teacher want me to get from this paper, or why does she want me or he want me to write it, we can really start to pull it apart. So say you have a paper that's on comparing the Turkish government and the Iranian government, and you've been studying the Middle East. Why did your teacher want you to compare these two? So I think, you can think, well, it's interesting to compare two countries because they're similar and they're different. I think it's also a really good exercise to compare countries because you can't say, well, all these countries that follow, in this section of the world are the same, or all these countries who follow this practice of religion are the same. So I think also the teacher wants from that prompt an idea that you can compare and contrast, and that you can look at history, you can look at lots of different aspects of those two countries and compare them. Or why don't you compare a film to a book? That's also a good one. Why is that interesting? Well, a lot of books are made into films, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad, and what do you think the author would want in the film? It's just a really nice way of sort of breaking it down. Because if you start to think that way, you can really start your introduction and get unstuck. It is interesting, or it is important to study the differences between Turkey and Iran because they are in the same part of geography, but they differ from each other in important ways. Or looking at the how adaptations from books are made into movies, it allows the reader to be more critical about how they read the book and our own consumption of movies. That it's not always an exact representation from the book to a movie. So the teacher really wants you to be a critical thinker. So asking yourself, why does my teacher want me to write on this topic or this essay, really can help you get unstuck inside of your intro and really hook your reader in because you're showing that you've thought about it. So the hook doesn't have to be this very clever thing. It really is showing in academic writing that you've thought about the topic and that you're then going to communicate that to the reader.